Oh, okay, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the class. I am Teacher Jack, and this is going to be Learning Phonetics. So this is a class I've attempted to teach a few times, and every time I modify it a little bit to attempt to familiarize you guys with how phonetics work and how it can help you in learning other languages. So I see we already have a student on. Hello there, Salvatore.
Hi teacher, how are you?
Did you say something?
Hi teacher, can you hear me? Teacher, teacher,
Well, if you're speaking right now, Hello? Well, if you're
hello, can
speaking
you
right
hear
now, I
me?
can't hear you. But just so you know, I'm going to write this down so that anyone joining the class can see that.
Hello?
If you have anything to say when I started. So,
Okay,
with that said, I
I
guess
try,
we'll get going. I have a little PowerPoint
I
slide
tried,
here ready to go. Are we on it now? Yes. Okay. So, phonetics. Phonetics is the study of sound as used in languages. Language scientists, use phonetic alphabets in order to write down languages so that they can be read no matter what the language is or what the language the reader knows. And the most commonly used such alphabets are the Americanist's phonetic alphabet, called the APA, and the International Phonetic Alphabet. In this class, we'll be going over the International Phonetic Alphabet. So, why learn it? English. One reason is, as you may be aware, English spelling is terrible. So, as you can see in the example, the word spelled W-I-N-D is pronounced differently if you're saying I wind the clock or when you say the wind blows. And both of those sounds are different from the I in the word wink, which is only one letter different. So you can see how knowing how to talk about these, how they sound, can be very useful. Also, most modern dictionaries use one of these phonetic alphabets, so being able to read one or the other can be very helpful. And one final reason is that a lot of the subtleties of English pronunciation rely on phonetic knowledge. For example, at the end of this class, we will discuss why the S in cats is different from the S in dogs. If you can hear it, it's cats and dogs. One is different from the other. We'll talk about why. So here's a big chart of the phonetic alphabet. You can see it's big, has a lot of symbols, a little confusing. It's okay, we don't need to know most of these symbols. We only need to know the ones that apply to English. So here are the English consonants. These are the ones that, luckily enough for us, already look like English letters. So we have P as in pit, B as in bit, T as in tin, D as in din, K as in cut, G as in gut, F as in fat, V as in vat, S as in sap, Z as in zap, 8 H as in ham, as in run, W as in we, L as in left, M as in map, and N as in nap. So those are the easy ones. They all look like their English counterparts. These are some of the more difficult symbols. They don't look like their English letter counterparts. So let's go through them. The first, we have this funny looking thing. It makes the ch sound, as in cheap. This other one is the j sound, as in jeep. The next two symbols are both represented by th's in English. The first one is fin, the second one is then, and th. This symbol that looks like a long S is the sh sound, as in wash. This one that looks like a cursive Z is j, as in garage, or illusion. This next one is a little complicated because it looks like a J, which in English is pronounced j, but phonetically it makes the y sound, as in yes. And finally, we have this in with a little hook at the bottom. That's the ng sound, as in king. So those are the consonants. Notice that those two funny ones at the start are literally just a T and a sh sound next to each other, and a D and a zh sound next to each other. And if you listen to those sounds closely, that's actually what they are. The ch sound is just t, sh, ch. And the j sound is just d, zh, j. So keep that in mind. Here are the English vowels. We're going to be going over the standard American vowels because those are the vowels I know and can best teach. First, we have these ones. This little lowercase I is the E sound in need. Then we have this uppercase I makes the I sound of kid. Greek letter epsilon makes E as in red. This AE is the A sound of trap. This upside down V is as in bug. This upside down E is called a schwa, and it makes a little almost pronounced vowel sound. It's never stressed in English. You can find it in the word comma. This A is as in got. This next one, that looks like a backwards C, is only ever seen before an R or an I in American English. And it's to sound like bore or more. Then we have oo. This is the sound found in rule. And then we have this little funny looking U. This is the weak U sound in English, the of would, could, should. It's all that sound. Now, there are also some double vowels in English. In phonetics, these are called diphthongs, which I only include because it's a fun word to say. These double vowels are I, as in nice, A, as in play, ow, as in how, O, as in boat, and oi, as in boy. All of these sounds are made by putting closure at the end. So if you ever have any trouble with them, try feeling your jaw and making sure that you actually physically close it up a little bit as you say it. I, a, ow, o. So, now I feel we are ready for a little practice. Does anyone feel up for that? Would anyone like to guess at what that first one is, on how to pronounce it?
Rift.
So write it into the Verbling chat. Any guesses?
Oh, it's very difficult, teacher.
Hello.
Are you all speaking?
Hello.
I can't hear anything.
Yeah, teacher, I said it's very difficult to read it with this strange letters.
Well,
can I try?
Oops. Sorry, I lost the page. Well, all right. I don't know if anything's wrong with my microphone or what, but we'll just continue on. So this first one is rich, as in that. This next one is jam. Then we have bus, bus. This one is things. It's spelled like that. So you can see that even though it's spelled like this in English, it's pronounced like that phonetically. Things. This one is could, as in could. The L is silent in that word. This one has a double vowel, I, s, rice. The next one is how. This one is actually an Italian word that we use in English. Pizza. Pizza. This one is machine. You can hear that schwa, it's barely there. Machine. The This next one is O-sh-n. Ocean. Ocean. This is a rather long one. We'll take it chunk by chunk. It's explosion. Explosion. This next one is delicious. Delicious. And then finally we have language. Language. So if you could follow along with that, then you're already doing pretty well. Oh, I see Salvatore typed into the Verbling chat. Okay, next time we go in, we'll see if that works for these. I don't know why I'm not hearing you. I hope something's not wrong with my microphone. So here are some odds and ends, some little extra tidbits to help you read and understand these symbols. So if you look up literature, as it's spelled phonetically in the Wiktionary, which is one of my favorite online dictionaries, you'll get something that looks like this. So you can see there's a lot going on there that may look a little complicated, but it's actually not so weird. Those periods represent where the syllables begin and end. So you can see there are 4 syllables in here. Literature. That apostrophe always comes before the stress syllable. So it lets us know that lit is the stress syllable here. So it's not literature or literature, it's literature. Finally, this weird looking E is actually the same thing as a schwa R. You'll see it sometimes. Some linguists believe that that is actually a special vowel that sounds like but it's pronounced the same as though we're a schwa and an R. Just know what it means if you see it. You might also see this written as an R with a bar underneath. You can see there at the end of the paragraph. If you see that, that's the same thing as a schwa and an R. Is how it's pronounced. You can also see that sometimes written like that with N's and L's. Just like that, they're just a schwa and an N or a schwa and an L. So N and ul are how those are pronounced. One last thing. This symbol. If you ever see this upside down R, that's actually the IPA symbol for that sound in English. Technically, the upper facing R is the r sound from Spanish. However, because most keyboards don't have that symbol easily, when we're talking about English, a lot of people just use that R anyways. So just know if you see this upside down R, it's the same thing. So let's try practicing again. So here's how we'll do this. I've put numbers next to those symbols on the right. You can also try just typing them in. Would anyone like to take a guess at what thorough is? And if the microphones still aren't working for some reason, please enter into the Verbling chat what you think it is. So that first word is pronounced thorough.
We should guess the transcription sound. Hello? Hello?
Would anyone like to try using the Verbling chat to enter in a number to try to guess what the sounds are in thorough? Okay. So the first one, thorough, we know it's a TH. So we know it's got to be either number 19 or 20 over there. And you can hear when you say it, that it's that soft whisper, not the buzzing sound. So that's number 19, the not the. Next up is thir. So as we just discussed, that's that, a schwa and an R. Thir. O, we know is one of our double vowels. You can hear it. O. It's not all one sound. Specifically, it's number 38 down there. O. Thorough. And that's what that looks like phonetically.
7.
Next up, we have a fun one, island. It's spelled with an S, but clearly there is no S sound in it. So the first sound is I, like that. I, one of those double vowels that's so common in English.
Next.
Following that up,
9.
it's island.
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 Sword is pretty easy. That W isn't pronounced, and that O is that unique sound that only comes before R's. Sword.
Sword.
Wednesday is a word with a deceptively large number of letters, but it's actually just pronounced Wednesday. Next we have frightened.
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 You see always that ED is spelled with an ED, but it's actually just pronounced like D. Frightened. Next we have judgment. Here the J and the DG are making the same sound. So judgment.
Judgment.
Height and 8 are only one letter apart, but their vowels are completely different. So height is height, 8 is 8. They both have those double vowels in them.
8.
So now I'm going to get a little technical, and I hope that you all stay with me while I'm explaining this. It is a little complex, but I swear at the end of this, it will all make a lot more sense, and it will all help your pronunciation quite a bit. So please stick with me. All these letters have names, just like they have names in any language. But because phonetics is a science, they have scientific names. These names actually describe how and where in your mouth you make the sound. So consonant names specifically will all normally have 3 parts. One will tell you the voicing of the sound. Voicing refers to whether or not your throat vibrates when you make it. The second part will tell you what parts of your mouth are used to make it. Your lips, your tongue, your teeth, your throat. This is called the place of articulation. It will also tell you how you use those parts. Are you blowing air through? Are you stopping the air? That's called the manner of articulation. So first we'll talk about voicing. Voicing can be voiced or voiceless. If it's voiced, you use your vocal cords. Your throat will vibrate when you say this. And voiceless if you're not. So some examples of pairs in English are these consonants. P is voiceless, but B is voiced. T, voiceless. D, voiced. K, G, Ch, J, Sh, J, F, V, and S, Z. You can feel when you make them that in one, your throat will be still. S. In the other, your throat will vibrate. Z. Now the places of articulation. These all have scientific names, so I'll explain what they mean. Bilabial. This means that it's made with both lips. These are the sounds P, B, and M. Labial dental. They're made with the teeth and the lower lip, so F and V are examples of these sounds. The next one are called dental, or sometimes called alveolar. These are made with the tongue against the back of your teeth. This is where most sounds are made. T, D, S, Z, Th, V, and N are all made here. Palatal. This is made with the tongue against the roof of your mouth, which is called the palate. These sounds are sh, zh, ch, and j. Velar. This is made against the back of your throat. These are sounds like k, g, and ng. Then there's glottal. This means it's made with the very bottom of your throat. H is the only sound like this in English. Huh, huh. You can feel how the only part really doing anything is at the very bottom of your neck. manners of articulation. The first one is called a stop because it completely stops the airflow. This is p, b, t, d, k, and g. And you can feel how all of them, if you hold it, you go p. You can't make any noise before you release the p. You completely stop all the air. Down there we have a fricative. Fricatives lit the airflow, but you're really restricting it, like through a nozzle. These are f, v, s, z, sh, zh. You can feel it, how the air is coming out, but it's restricted. S makes it hiss. Between these two, you have something called an affricative. These are sounds that start as a stop, but then the sh. They start as a stop and is the fricative. Next, you have a nasal. A nasal is the sound you make through your nose. And are all of these sounds. Finally, you have approximants or sound airflow is almost feel you would if you w, and y are examples of this. There's also one extra one called lateral. Lateral is kind of an extra bonus one. So you can have lateral fricatives, lateral proximants, so on. Side of your mouth. The difference between R and L, that R is not lateral, L is lateral. And you can feel it when you do it. R, you like the sides. So, making it useful. Like I said, we would talk about some actual features you can use this for. So, why is cats pronounced with a s, but dogs with a z? This is because when you add that s to a word, whether it be for plural reasons, like cats, the possessive, like John's cat, or even for verbs, like John pets the cat, it always matches the voicing of the last sound. So, for example, if it's voiced, it'll be a voiced z. But if it's voiceless s. So because cat ends in a t, which is voiceless, we get cats. But dog ends in the voiced g, so we get a z. Cats, dogs. This also works for the past tense, the d ending. So if climb is pronounced with that a voice sound at the end, which do you think it will end with? D or t? It'll end in d. Whereas walk, ending in the voiceless k, will be walked with a t at the end. They're both written with a d, but one is climbed, the other is walked. This rule has a fancy name. I put it here for you. And these may seem subtle, but they have big impact on how you sound. Native English speakers hear these. They may not know what they're hearing, but they do pick up on this. So here's some more phonetic rules. One is nasalization. English vowels are always nasalized before nasal consonants, like and This is most obvious in an example like cat and can. It's the same vowel, but one is said through the nose. A, an. And you can even write this phonetically if you want to, with that little squiggly line over the vowel, like that.
So is it can?
The next is a big one. You've probably heard of this, though maybe they didn't tell you what it was called. This is aspiration. The voiceless stops, P, T, and K, are aspirated, which means that they're said with a puff of air at the start of a word or a stressed syllable. If you put your hand up to your mouth and say p, you should feel a puff of air. But when you say b, you should feel a lesser puff of air. If you're feeling the same thing, try making a bigger puff of air when you say the p, because in English that p will be aspirated, but b will not. After an s, this does p, but sp. You should feel that big puff after p but not after sp. Vowel lengthening. English vowels are longer before voice consonants. So if you say beat and bead, you'll notice that beat is very short, but bead is much longer. This is the way you can distinguish between a lot of English words that are otherwise harder to distinguish. Like someone who writes is a writer, but someone who rides is a rider. Oh, and you can all write that aspiration phonetically with that little superscript H. It's one of the most obvious things you find in non-native speech. So that is the PowerPoint. Does anyone have any questions?
No questions.
Are you speaking right now? I still can't seem to hear.
I'm speaking now.
I may have to end this class early because I cannot hear what anyone is saying.
Oh, really? How about now? No. You can't hear anything?
Well, I hope this class was helpful, and I've included in the setup to the class a link to this file, which hopefully you can download and you look at if you find it useful.
Mm-hmm.